All right, we're back with part 9, one more to 10 of the Dash platform walkthroughs, and we got Claire. What is up, Claire?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. You want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
I am a curious person with Node installed on my computer, and I have been actually away from the Web3 space for about 2 years. So Anthony said this is going to be beginner friendly, and I'm going to come back to this with beginner's fresh eyes, meaning if I can do this, anyone watching this can probably do it better. And I'm really excited to see what this is all about.
If I remember correctly, you were into Algorand. Is that right?
I was roped into it, but I was more into the development side of blockchain. I was really curious about that. And I'm really curious if it's gotten any less painful of a developer experience. So let's see how it is.
That's perfect. Yeah. So we're definitely more geared towards and oriented towards the developer side of things in the incubator, Dash incubator, and Dash in general right now with our Dash platform that's coming out July 29th. So this on mainnet, this will be on, well, it's not going to be on mainnet July 29th, but it will launch on July 29th, which is coming up this month, the end of the month. And it basically gives you a platform to store data that's provably present or absent, all sorts of things there that we can talk about through the stream. But I think we should just go ahead and jump right into the screen share, and we'll walk you through it. And you were saying on the screen that you were just you were working in another developer-oriented position. So, you called yourself a beginner, but I don't think, yeah.
A blockchain beginner is definitely appropriate title for me.
Got it.
Yeah, Claire was someone who kind of switched like mid career from someone who's doing something just kind of getting more into coding, because I first met you because actually we should mention Monarch was the first person who did this walkthrough with us.
Oh, cool.
And we originally met because she worked for Monarch's company, Mintbean.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So what are we going to do today, by the way? I'm totally coming into this blind.
We're going to build kind of like a hello world application with Dash platform. And I was going to say that the most important thing to know before we get started is that there's Dash, the cryptocurrency, which has been around for a while, about a decade. And then there's the Dash platform, which has been in development for many years. And as Ryan just said, is like about to be released in about a month or so. And that is what is going to add things like identity and storage and the more app-like layers of the platform. So this is going to be mostly going through that. So it's going to be less like interacting with Dash cryptocurrency as it has existed in the last 10 years, and more so using these kind of higher level functionality pieces.
Awesome. But with code, it sounds like.
With code, exactly. Yeah, it's all JavaScript, baby.
That's where I want to be.
That's good.
So part of this is we're testing the tutorial to some degree. We've done 8 of these so far, so we're honing in on what is needed to make this something that somebody can work through unassisted. And we think it's there already, but if there's anything that's not clear, then just mention it or something like that. But I think we should just jump in, and we'll see as we get in.
Cool.
Yeah, you can jump to the setup and configure node project section. There's some text at the beginning, but it's not as important.
Okay. So am I just going to walk through this out loud?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Cool. Well, let's first prove that I have the right node version, because I haven't checked in a while. I'll make this. Is this big enough for you to see?
That's good now, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm up above V20. We're good there.
Also on an odd version.
Is that very experimental of me? Living on the edge?
Well, yeah, and so no one ever, you're specifically only supposed to use 21 for like testing new features, but if you're ever going to deploy, you're always supposed to be on the even ones. So I always think it's interesting when people have an odd one on their computer. So I'm like, well, no one's really gonna ever deploy.
I would push to prod on V21. I'm that daring.
Rebel.
All right. So I'm making a project folder called dash examples, and heading in there, we're going to start a new npm project.
npm, you missed the init.
Oh yeah, npm init. Sorry, I'm on like preschool mode in my terminal here. Okay, so we've got a new project open. Actually, I'm just going to open it from in here. All right. And we're going to set it to type module. I won't ask questions. I'll just paste what I'm told.
That's just with the ESM.
Okay. And we're installing the package dash version 4, and adding a git ignore. Is this a big package?
You tell me.
It's not. It's not that crazy, I don't think.
I think it is.
It takes a bit longer to chew on than the average.
I think it's too big.
All right, so I'm going to make this a bit bigger too, but we've got our git ignore, ignoring the essentials now. Okay, we'll create a script file individually throughout the tutorial for the sake of simplicity. Add all the node scripts that will be implemented by the end of the tutorial. All right, so I'm just going to copy this. That's so nice. You guys have given all of the cheat scripts.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and paste. We don't need the test one? Well,
no.
Nope.
See, we're living on the edge, V21 node, no tests. All right, so these scripts are basically going to be shortcuts for running script files that we make later, it sounds like, and running a server.
Yep.
Okay, initialize the dash client. Create a scripts directory and an API directory. Is that two separate directories? I guess so. And a file called client. So this client is in the API. I'm just going to follow your code here. So make dir API scripts. Okay, 2 folders. And we're going to create a client.js file. And in our env file, we're going to add an environment variable called network, set to testnet. So it should be here. Yep. And we have our empty client.js file. All right. While we're at it, should I get init here? Because those node modules not being grayed out were freaking me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
That's fine, because that way if we don't finish, then we can pick up where we stopped.
All right. So import dash from dash. Pass the project's network and wallet configuration through dash's client constructor. So that sounds like something I'm going to have to set up maybe in your UI or something. Well, let me just copy all of this. So we got a little echo. Okay, so we're importing dash, getting our network environment variable, and setting it to the network property when we initialize. What's the mnemonic in Froelich? I think I don't remember this term.
Have you ever
password that's super long?
Have you ever dealt with 12-word phrases?
With one, could you repeat that?
Have you ever dealt with 12-word seed phrases when you were doing Algorand stuff or any other Web3 or crypto stuff?
Is that like the secret password you don't share with anyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's called a mnemonic.
Yeah, in some circles, I'd rather call it a seed phrase because that's what it is. But yeah, that's what the APIs called it at this point.
Okay. Sweet. So the client is set up. And feel free to shout out, by the way, if I'm missing anything or any footnotes you want to add.
You're doing good so far.
All right, so we haven't created a wallet yet. Mnemonic is set to null to indicate we want a new one to be generated. To get a new address for an existing wallet, you can replace null. Offline mode is set to true, indicating we don't want to sync the chain. Interesting. So you can do this offline. It's just local to my computer. Is that for like development?
Yeah.
Probably.
So the syncing the chain thing, it is actually a client sync. We're not going to be downloading a blockchain for one, but it's even lighter weight. Like this way, we don't have to have the client sync the headers and things like that either.
So is the reason why you could do this because the way you generate a wallet, it always generates a unique one every time?
That is, yeah, that's part of it. So yeah, generating the wallet. Well, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question actually.
Well, actually, back up. Like, what is Dash? What is unique about Dash? Because actually, I haven't done any research. I know there's a cryptocurrency called Dash, but the platform.
Mm-hmm.
What's different about the Dash platform?
So Dash, high level, yeah. So there's Bitcoin. You've heard of Bitcoin. Yeah. There's other forks like Litecoin. Have you heard of Litecoin?
Yep.
Okay, so Dash is very similar in the sense of they're both forks. It's similar to Litecoin in the sense that they're both forks of Bitcoin, but it's very different in the technology choices that we've made since that original fork, which was over 10 years ago. And so Litecoin has made certain different improvements over Bitcoin, or I'll just say changes. And then Dash has made other changes that I personally consider big improvements, but it's of course subjective. And so Dash is just it's a cryptocurrency that focuses mostly on high speed, low cost, high security, decentralization, all those kind of things, and subjectively or objectively, just a better user experience, better developer experience than you'd get with Bitcoin. Some people say at the expense of security or whatever, but yeah, those are different. Different people will give you different answers on that, but the main difference I think is that Dash has a network of what are called master nodes, which are and in Bitcoin, anybody can spin up a Bitcoin node and participate in the network as a node operator. But you're not doing anything special as a node operator in Bitcoin by design. But in Dash, we have the master node concept, which is in addition to running a node, you're also proving that you own a large stake in the network. So in Dash, it's 1,000 Dash.
So there's incentive to run a node.
There's not only an incentive, but I'm glad you picked up on that, because the node operators do actually get paid. The master node operators get paid part of the block reward, and that incentivizes them to keep a good service running, because otherwise they don't get paid. But it also creates certain efficiencies, because you have that staked node, and so you have better performance, and then you can add on services that these node operators are running. One of those services, one of the major services that they're doing is instant send or instant locking of transactions, which means when a transaction is seen on the network, then a quorum of these master node operators will see those transactions, and they'll say, hey, I've seen this. And as long as a certain quorum of certain subset of those node operators see the same thing, then they lock that transaction. So instead of waiting for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or however long you want to wait for your Bitcoin transaction to confirm on the network, based on certain block intervals of on average 10 minutes, instead of all that confirmation time business, you can just rely on the fact that if a quorum of master node operators have locked a transaction, you can consider it secure, and you can take it to the bank within 1 to 2 seconds instead of minutes. So that's kind of the speed aspect, and then there are other things as well, such as Dash is Dash was the first decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO, if you've heard of those, where we have, because there's a master node network, then we give each of those node operators one vote.
Mhm.
And so that we vote on stuff like governance decisions, like should we increase the block size, or those kind of technical decisions, or even funding decisions, where we direct a part of our block reward to developers or marketers or anybody who thinks that they can contribute to the Dash network. Anybody can submit a proposal to get funding and work in Dash, and then those node operators that are incentivized because they have a large stake in the network, they're incentivized to vote well, so they vote for funding. And that's actually how the Dash incubator, which is funding this project and this organization and this live stream, that's how we are funding this.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked. I know I should have asked probably the very beginning, but now I have a bit more context.
Yep.
I'll also add, I've never developed on any blockchain derivative networks. I've only developed on Ethereum. So this will be really interesting. I don't have anything to compare it to yet. So
yeah, I was the same way when I first got into Dash. I had done a lot of Ethereum and like some Solana, but not really any like Bitcoin stuff. So
yeah,
learned a bunch. And
future.
And the Dash platform is totally different from Bitcoin also. So it's not even like really necessarily the best comparison.
All right. So I just created a new script file for create wallet. We'll use 3 functions to create a wallet: get wallet account, export wallet, and get unused address. All right. And it's all coded for me. I'm just going to copy it and paste it into our script file. Here's the create wallet function, and we're calling it immediately. We have to define these other functions though, right? Or no, it's from our client that we imported. Okay.
Yeah, so those are all part of the Dash. Those like the built-in methods in the Dash library.
Is this good form to log your secret seed phrase into the console? Nobody steal my seed phrase, please. I told you I wouldn't put my social security number on, but we're gonna reveal my seed phrase. All right, so go ahead.
No, it definitely is not good form to do if you're not working on testnet. But for testnet, it's fine.
Yeah, cool. You got to get it somehow. It has to appear on your screen at some point in time.
I'll add, I've done absolutely no like user sign up or anything. So it sounds like for the testnet, it just gives you like a default address in mnemonic. Or let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's not default, it's random.
Okay. Random by default. So we ran it. I don't know what happened. Did anything happen? I don't see any files.
You didn't save the file before running it.
Thanks, Anthony.
The white dot gave it away.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool. We got
some warnings, but that's typical stuff. So
okay. These are to be ignored. All right. So this is the wallet address where people can't rob me because it's fake, right?
Yep.
And my seed code, seed phrase.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you're gonna want to copy paste both of those and put them in your .env.
Okay.
Yep. Seed phrase is synonymous with mnemonic. Just you got it, I think.
Like this, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pop these in here before we lose them. All right. And it says copy these just like we did. Okay, next is to add funds to the wallet with testnet faucet. Oh, I remember faucets. These were like such a pain for the developer experience because like you'd have to wait for them to drip.
If only that was his biggest problem.
You get more than a drop this time. Send test funds to unused address from the console output. Testnet faucet. We're open that in a new tab. Wait for them to be confirmed. It might take a few minutes. I'll get this kicked off. Block Explorer. All right, so here's the test faucet. And sorry, my browser's in Japanese, but that's a CAPTCHA. Should I use this promo code?
So you'll want to enter your address above the CAPTCHA. It's kind of hidden up there.
Oh, I see. Okay, right here. My address here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
And that would be this.
that's
Yeah.
right. And
Do
then
all addresses start with Y, or is this just a coincidence?
say again.
Do all wallet addresses start with Y, or is this a coincidence?
The test net always starts with Y. Mainnet addresses start with X.
Ah, cool. Okay, so if I click this button, I should get some money.
Yep.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for that, don't click get coins again. This is a finicky site. You see the browser is loading by, you see the X
okay.
there. It's doing stuff. Sometimes it crashes, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what that said.
It said that the confirmation time timed out, but I think we already kicked it off, right? So it's working on it.
So let's open the Insight tab now and see what's.
Yeah, is there any like transaction ID?
Oh wait, look at that.
It went through.
It worked.
2.8 dash. Hey, tell me, how much is that in US dollars?
If it were mainnet, then it would be like $70 or something, $70 US.
Okay.
Something like that.
So I'm guessing this is the one that we launched a minute ago, maybe.
We might see the transaction down there. That might be our transaction.
2.8, is that what we had? 2.86. I don't know. It's similar.
Something like that. So let's go ahead and just pop the address into the search for block transaction. Yeah.
Wallet address, right? Okay, so I'm gonna take that. Okie dokie. So this is the history of our transactions. I guess maybe some initial transactions happened behind the scenes. Because I see a lot more than one.
So on the left, you see the inputs to the transaction, and on the right, you see the outputs. So your address is on the right, meaning it's received funds from the other inputs on the left. That's just kind of how
Here's my address again.
Blockchain transactions work. But so far, so good. We're rolling.
Cool. All right. So I got money, fake money. All right. So search wallet. We just did that. By the way, what was this address right here? The first.
Good question. That is sending the change back to either the wallet or something that the faucet controls.
Okay, so it's like a administrative step in the faucet process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much to go into the transaction theory here, but yeah, basically when you're making a transaction, you can think of it like a bunch of coins that you dump out onto a counter when you're at the gas station or whatever. And you send those coins to the person, and then in order to the sum of the inputs on the left side has to equal the sum of the outputs on the right hand side. So it's just, you have to send change back to a certain address because
so it's a leaky faucet.
Yeah, well, not all the inputs always add up to exactly what you want to send to, and so the remaining balance has to go back to an address, some kind of address. So if you want to control the change and get the change back as the sender of a transaction, then you want to provide your outputs an address that you control. And so I would assume that the faucet is just sending it back to itself.
Got it. So it's like that little penny jar at the gas station for the extra penny change that you don't want to put in your wallet.
Yeah. So YTCF9. If you go back to the dash faucet.
This one.
Yep. YT. Okay. So that's I was wondering if it might be that address, but
going back here.
Wallet will have multiple addresses. Maybe it's not the one that's shown here, but it's probably one that the faucet owns.
Are people donating real money to fund the faucet for the testnet, or what's? No,
it's just that if the faucet ran dry for whatever reason, like somebody tried to get all of the money, which is why you have to do a CAPTCHA. Sometimes, like, because this is an open network, anybody can interact with it. So if somebody ran it dry and you wanted to interact with it, you could send it some money, some testnet funds, and then have it be working again.
Got it. Okay, if we have any leftover change at the end of the stream, I'll donate it back just to keep things liquid.
But just since we're there, These faucets, they used to be on Bitcoin, and like all of these faucet apps, web apps, they're derived from really old school faucet that used to be like mainnet Bitcoin. And so that's one of the reasons why they have these donation addresses as well, is because it used to be mainnet funds that if somebody was feeling generous, like they were an early miner and they mined 50 Bitcoins back in the day, and they wanted to like spread the message, the good message of Bitcoin, or in our example, Dash, if it were mainnet, then you could actually send to that. And then people could then go to the faucet and say, hey, I want to try this out, and I'll take like, I'd like to have 50 cents worth or something like that. And so, yeah, back in the day, it was very small amounts of money that you would be able to get from these faucets, but it was real money. And if you had hung on to it since the early times, then you would have done pretty well.
Man, to be a dev back in the day, I would have, if I had the foresight, I would have just been dripping from the faucet once a day.
Yep.
Rich right now.
Exactly.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and move forward then.
Yeah. Am I like behind on time? Do I need to rush? How are we doing?
You're fine.
We're good. We're good. Because we'll just go into part 2 if you don't get all the way through.
All right.
If you're interested.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I got one buddy who's gonna be on part 3 soon.
I guess we should say part C and B, because
yeah.
All right. The transaction link, is this what we just looked at together? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So from this
you
step,
just skip
taking a look
through
at
the screenshots. Yeah.
And you can also expand it for more info. We didn't do that. I'm kind of curious what else we can see in there. Hold on a second. I think I need to refresh.
Go click forward. Click your forward.
Oh yeah, we have the history.
Yep.
All right. So,
I think it's the arrow that you, or no, there's a plus right by the big long string right below transactions.
Oh, here.
Yeah. So that's if you really want to get into the nerdy details of the transactions. That's what I was wondering, how far do I go into this? But
well, it's suggested to try it here, so everyone's going to go through it. But I think it's good to know, because I never would have found that without being nudged.
Absolutely.
Okay. Register and retrieve identity. Modify the client again. Include your mnemonic seed phrase in .env. Okay, so we're going to pluck that out. And okay, because we didn't have a mnemonic before. Now we do. I think before in here, we had offline mode set to true, but we're not using that anymore. It's going to overwrite the file. All right. Unsafe options. Skip synchronization before height. What is height? I saw this in the over here somewhere too.
So basically, each block starting with the first one is like height 1. Then the second block is height 2.
Okay.
So,
so it's like
forth. It's like the block
position in the pancake stack. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So we're setting up our client with new configuration. I don't know what this does, but I'm just gonna.
It's so you don't have to sync the whole chain history.
Okay.
It just like looks at the last, month of blocks or whatever.
Got it. So if you actually wanted to implement this, you would probably go and look at the insights and find out what would be an appropriate height to put in there.
Yeah, that's just kind of like the default right now.
Okay. Next script, create identity.js. We will run identities.register function. What is an identity? Is it like a profile within a wallet? I don't know. So
the way that I describe it is it's a public-private key pair essentially.
Oh, okay. This is what people will see in the public one they'll see on the transactions.
So you're familiar with the concepts of SSHing and doing SSH key pairs and generations and things like that. And you can kind of think of that as like an identity for your SSH server. Same idea, but it uses a little different cryptographic primitives.
Cool. All right. So we've got the script there. It's going to create a new identity and console log it and ask us to go to some website. So let's check it out. Create identity. All right. Ignore warnings, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
All right,
as that's waiting, I'll explain a little bit more about the identity stuff. One of the beauties of blockchains and decentralized cryptocurrencies in general is that, as opposed to something like the traditional banking system, where your identity in their system is something they give you, right? You go open an account at a bank, they're going to give you an identifier, like they're going to create an account for you, and it lives on their system.
Mhm.
In blockchains, the role it's completely flipped, where the users
Tell it who you want to be.
the users actually create their identities, and then that's what's the authoritative identity system, rather
And
than
that's what we just did, right? With the create identity script. When we ran register, we created our identity. Now I'm gonna go where it told me to go. So this is the Dash platform that we're on right now, right?
Yeah, this is an Explorer platform. Explorer. There are different ways to view things that are happening on a blockchain. The best, most like closest to the metal way to do that is to run an actual node on the network.
Mhm.
But that's resource intensive and takes time, and a lot of people don't have the technical chops to do that. So other people who can do that, like our good friend and colleague Mikhail Shenmik, he has built this website that does that crawling of the blockchain itself. He's running a node, he's running an indexer on top of that node, which looks through all the transactions, organizes them in certain ways, provides a REST API that this front end that he's also created would then contact and get information that originates from the blockchain, but is presented in an easier to consume way. So that's what this blockchain, this platform Explorer is it's just a way to look at what's happening on the Dash platform blockchain.
Very cool. I'm a freeloader, so I'll use the monitor version. And that's cool that you have an API. I'm guessing all of these are like get operations just for monitoring stuff that happens on the network.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't even know if anybody has looked at this API site.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I checked
Well,
that once.
Yeah.
So,
I used to work at Postman, so I saw this word API. I'm like, gotta check this out.
yeah,
I was
that's
going
what
to
I
ask, do you have a Postman collection? Because it would be really cool if people could just like fork this and they could run all these examples in like one click. It would be pretty cool.
I wasn't going to say the name Postman, but you had said it off screen, so I didn't know if you wanted to share that. But that is very cool that you used to work for Postman, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, it's watching, a very popular API client. Or you could explain it better than me, but yeah, I don't know if we have that yet. I don't think we do.
Well, if I play with this more, I'll make a fan public Postman collection and play with it that way.
Yeah.
But cool. So even if you aren't using the API, you can just use this UI to see what's going on. Now I see right here, there was an identity create that happened today. I'm guessing that's me.
Yeah.
That's the one that just happened.
Is this like the event ID and this is our identifier, or what are we looking for? Maybe I should read.
So click the thing, click the create identity or identity create.
This guy. Okay.
Yes. So there's a specific transaction for. So okay, this is state transition, as this is. So there's this thing they call state transition. It's basically that's like writing to the blockchain.
Right. And here's the hash of the block.
Yeah, so there's the identity ID itself, and then there's the this is the hash for the state transition, I believe, is what's happening.
So this is my new identity.
Yep.
32A4N. That's how you should refer to me from now on.
Okay.
What if I click on this? What do I learn about myself? It takes us.
Your balance.
It learns when I was born.
Yep.
I'm not in the system.
Well, you're not a system. Yeah, you're not the system.
But I'm rich.
Yeah, and that 1,000, whatever that number is, that's because we defined that in our request to make the transaction. That's what we said, one something. If you look back to your code, that's what you'd see.
I see. I can tell. Did we say 1,000 anywhere?
No, you're thinking of the top up credit function, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Have we done that? How do you have a balance then?
So there's an instant balance when you create the identity. There's some amount, and this is why you need the testnet funds to create the identity. You can't create an identity if your balance is 0.
I see. So we used our testnet funds to create the wallet, or excuse me, the identity.
To create the identity, yeah, because there's basically why they're called credits is because you have Dash in your wallet, and then when you go to the platform, you have this thing called credits, and so there'll be a part where you do something called top up credits, where you'll add more credits from your original Dash that you got from the faucet.
This is really fascinating, and I'm so glad that I can do this without adding my credit card to anything, knowing that I'm not sinking my savings.
Yeah, you're speaking Ryan's language.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I hope that the world moves this direction where people own their own money, independent of banks and all that stuff. This should be in our full control. So yeah, I'm glad that you.
Yeah. So Michael's saying. So this is what I was saying. The create identity doesn't top up kind of under the hood.
And that's what I thought. But
there might be a way to configure that.
We define the number that it creates to do the top up in the identity creation. Did we not?
We did not.
No,
there
we
may be
did
a way
nothing.
to configure that.
I think it maybe has a default.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Cool. So I've saved my new identity. Call me 32A4N.
But only for a short time, Claire, because you're going to actually get a real name soon.
Well, everything is ephemeral.
Yeah.
So earlier we saw. Oh yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. So the register function has a parameter called funding amount, which is default to 10,000.
Oh, okay.
That you could change it if you want.
So if I wanted to change that, I would say in here default amount and set it to 10 billion to be richer.
Something like that might exist, but I don't know the specific API.
Okay. Cool. Well, we got money anyway. Nice. Well, credits, right? Not money. And next step. Earlier we saw how to view our transactions. We did this before in the identities tab. We clicked in here. And outputs to terminal. Yeah, so we clicked the terminal, link from the terminal, inspected the identity creation. All right, so next we're going to make a retrieve identity script and get IDs, get identity IDs on our wallet identities. Okay. Copy the script and paste it into retrieve identities. And we're just that's it. We just call this SDK to, I'm guessing it's using that API under the hood maybe, or a different API.
Different API.
I'm just curious. Okay. All right, we're gonna run this script. npm run retrieve identities. That is very nice that you added all the scripts and packaged JSON for us. All right, what did I break? Did I forget to save something? Empty SPV chain.
Yeah, this function for some reason it always has something weird happening with it, but we can skip this one because it's not really a huge deal. We've been talking about possibly using a local version of testnet, but we've made it through the important commands that are actually blockers. So we should probably keep going with testnet for now. But all retrieve does is it just gives you back the identity that you just created. So it's not really the
cool. And this is identities associated with your wallet.
So your wallet can have multiple identities.
Okay, cool. Okay, so good thing we have good short-term memory. We already know our identity, so we don't need to retrieve it. Mm-hmm. And we know our balance. All right. So when identity is created, where should I skip to, Anthony, or is this
just you go? So top up. We need to do top up because actually, if you skip this one, then so just keep going from here.
Top up.
Yeah.
Cool. Top up identities. We're gonna add a little credits here. Oh, we're gonna use get identities again. Are we gonna get blocked?
I don't think so. We'll see.
If not, we know our identity, so we could hard code it. Okay, so we're gonna loop through. I hope it works. We're gonna loop through the IDs and top them up just with the top up function.
Yeah. This is what I was thinking of. I thought we were at this step for some reason. That my mind was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
So we're going to add that much more credit to our account.
Yeah, I hope this works because we couldn't get this function to work in the last step. But let's see if it's...
Yeah, you would think that would be the case, but we'll see.
Well, I can always be surprised by code. Hey, just warnings, just warnings. Okay, it's something's happening. That's good. There's some crunching happening on the network.
Yeah, and while it's doing that, I'll say a few things about the network that we're working with right now is testnet. It's basically a network that Dash Core Group, a different entity that is funded by the Dash network itself. They maintain this network, and the network's generally healthy, but the SDK that we're using is a little bit out of date. They're focusing mostly on the Rust SDK right now, and the JavaScript SDK is a little bit, well, rusty, I guess you could say. But yeah, so sometimes we'll see errors that are associated with the SDK, and sometimes we'll see errors that are associated with the network. Let's see.
This one looks SDK related from before.
It's the MPS VV chain error again.
No, that was from before. Sorry.
Oh, that was before.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the type of error where it says like empty SPV chain. That's one where it just means that it's tried to sync to a node that was wonky for whatever reason, and it's not really able to retry, or it is able to retry, but it doesn't do enough to actually figure it out. So yeah, see, told you.
So it looks like we got it this time.
Yeah, we've topped up. I know we told it to put like 10,000 in each one, but we have slightly less than that. Is there like a transaction fee?
Yeah, every interaction that modifies data, does actual state transition on the network, costs money.
Okay, so we had a tax of about 13%.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the actual numbers again, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm used to crypto world where you just expect your money to like disappear at various steps of the process.
Yeah.
Okay, next, register and retrieve name. Okay, name. We had an identity. Now we're going to get a name, which is probably something that's easier to remember than 34-2AN. Create a label property and then environment variables. Replace your name here with our name. So we have power to decide whatever we want.
Yep.
Who should I be? I don't want to put my real name here. Or will I? I will. Boring. I'll be Clarifro. Is it like conventional to do a screaming case? I see a lot of caps.
If it's conventional for you, then great. But no, just the other side.
Probably lowercase. It's because I think it's kind of like a domain, because it's gonna have dot. It's gonna be Clarifro.
Okay.
Clarifro dot dash. You know.
I shouldn't dare to be different. All right. We're going to add the script to register name. Register name.js. Whoa, didn't copy the script. Now I have. Oh, I was using a non-Mac earlier today, and now I'm on a Mac, and I can't copy paste. My muscle memory is all messed up. Okay. Oops. So register name, we're going to pull our identity ID and label from .env and get our identity by ID and get the ID of the identity. Interesting. Is it a different? There's a unique identity ID. I thought IDs were unique.
The identity is actually an object or something, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Get the ID from it.
I got it. Okay. And we're going to create a new name registration on the client platform names.register. Here's what you were talking about, Anthony, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so here I could actually change this technically to be my own suffix.
Yeah, I don't actually know how this works, but I don't think it would work if you changed it to anything other than dash.
No, it has to be dot dash, yeah.
It's interesting that you have the option to not put dash there.
Well, you don't. I mean, you do, but the code would break. So like that's why it's written this way.
Well, I mean, like the SDK, it'd be cool if like it took the label as a property and like did this for you. Otherwise,
Right.
someone
People,
would
So
fat finger it.
it makes it look like you have a choice, but you don't really.
Oh, the wild west of crypto. There's always some way to mess stuff up. Okay, so we're gonna pass it some property, the unique ID, and the identity. What is an object, right? And we're gonna put something out. We're gonna get this label we made, and then view it. All right, let's check it out. So we're gonna run register name. And this operation, does it take dash to perform, or is this on credits?
I think everything should be credits.
Everything
that's
will be
done on
credits.
platform. Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing we've used dash for so far was making an identity.
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, everything that is a credit is dash as well. A credit is just a certain denomination of dash.
Oh.
So, it was
Like
in the
dollars and cents?
tutorial. Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, we have Clarefro. Let's check it out on the Block Explorer. All right, so here is my name, my unique identity, my old identity, 32A4N.
Mhm.
Here to solve the subdomain rules, allow subdomains false, normalize label. Oh, you gave me like a leet label too. That's cool. Okay, so what are we looking at here? View on the platform. Okay, is there anything we should note here?
Not really. You already noticed the one thing that might be surprising, that the name that you actually request gets modified under the hood. So that, and that's basically so that it helps prevent what are they called? Just
People trying to like typo squat your
yes.
label. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's more than one way to typo squat. I could still think of some ways I could typo squat my own ID here.
Right, but they become at least more recognizable. That.
So if someone like tried to send money to this address, you might like pop up a warning that says like, "Are you sure you want to talk to or send money to this address?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's an interesting feature. Awesome. Okay, so create a file called retrieve name. Let's do it. And here's the script. Extended doc. Okay, so we're gonna look for our name, and we have to JSONify. We have to stringify and JSON parse this doc. What's a doc in this context?
Yeah, so that'll make more sense as we go, but basically that's going to be what you're going to be able. Now you have an identity, you'll be able to create documents, which is like kind of think of it like a document database. You'll have just objects with data, and there'll be some sort of schema that you can write to those with what are called notes.
Okay, and these are like filtered to be for my label or related to that.
Yep.
Yes.
So let's run that. See what comes back. I'm very curious. Okay.
Yeah, so this is like a document, basically.
All right. Oh, and I can look at it here. This looks familiar. Okay. And it looks like Anthony did this yourself and that did the code snippets.
Duh. Who else would do them?
Is there anything you want to call out about this? The name object?
No, I don't think so. I think so it says data contract in there. So that's what we're gonna create next is data contract. So data contract is what allows you to create the documents. Like data contract is the schema, or it's kind of hard to the terminology is all a little bit confusing, but once you go through the examples, it becomes pretty clear.
All right. Trust the process, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Data contract. So it serves as a blueprint for the structure of data that an application intends to store on the network. It defines a schema of documents with JSON schema. Contracts enable the platform to validate data against these schemas. Okay, cool. They're crucial for dApps and provide a structured, predictable way to interact with the blockchain. Oh, cool.
Real quick, we got a question in the chat, Ryan, asking how Dash platform would solve potential scalability problem.
Well, the potential scalability problem. I mean, this is one of the three things that that blockchains are trying to solve simultaneously. In general, is well, Vitalik Buterin famously submitted his scaling trilemma, where you have where you're trying to do three things. A blockchain is trying to do scale. Let's see. Security, decentralization, and scale. And that is, historically, it's been difficult to get all those three things at the same time. Yeah. And I actually liked, personally, scalability, security, decentralization. I don't like his three choice personally. I think it's more about security, scalability, and usability, meaning like features. So decentralization is part of security in my mind, is what I'm trying to say. So it shouldn't be one of the independent things, but it's difficult to do all these three things at the same time. And so I think, to answer the question, the secret behind scalability for Dash, or not the secret, but just the approach, the strategy, is that we use incentivized nodes. Our node operators are paid to scale. So the argument goes that you can't have scale without sacrificing decentralization, because if you think about it, the argument goes, the bigger you scale, the more difficult it becomes to run a node on the network, because there's high scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more difficult it becomes to run a node on the network, the fewer people will do that, because it's more difficult. And that is true in a network that does not pay the node operators. But once you start paying the node operators, then scale is actually a good thing. The more it scales, the more the node operators make, the more money the node operators make for operating that network. And therefore, there's no real trade-off between security and scalability. But it's a deep topic, so I won't pretend that I've just solved the world's problems there. But
I know that you mentally model the trilemma differently. You said instead of decentralization down there, you would put usability, and that you feel decentralization is part of security. But if you were to look at Vitalik's model, where would you put Dash? Which leg of the triangle would it be on?
Well, I wouldn't put Dash in any part of the triangle. Every cryptocurrency and every network, it really is trying to do all of them.
Right.
So I would put Dash in the middle, meaning you have to balance and have.
Well, I think what she means, though, is
that's where you want to be, of course, but where is it in reality?
Yeah,
where's the strength?
Yeah, some are more decentralized than others. Some are more scalable than others. You know.
Yeah. So again, I wouldn't put decentralization on there, and I would say that it's probably aimed more at the usability part of the spectrum, or whatever we're calling this, because that is, so like, that's why we created Platform in the first place, is to give developers like yourself the ability to easily create applications that use this platform. And so giving developers the ability to create all sorts of applications easily as they can create a database schema, for example.
Got it. Cool. Well, thanks for the segue. How are we doing on time, by the way? We have 25
We're
minutes.
good.
We're good?
Yeah.
So yeah, we
we'll
usually
keep
go
going. We'll
for
see
a
how far
little
we
over
get.
an hour. So we'll get as far as we want to get. But what were you going to say, Anthony? Sorry.
No, just that we might be a little bit short on time, but that's probably okay if we want to do another one. But we'll just
Well,
we just
I
need to
can
keep
always
going, then
speed it up.
we'll see as far as we get.
I've been very vocal about my questions along the way, and I could tone that down a little too.
No, I think that's even
No,
more
no, this
important
is-
that you
this is
answer,
great.
you ask your questions, because like if you're interested in, the more you're hopefully you are interested in doing some of this stuff. And we're trying, like the Dash Incubator, the whole purpose of the Dash Incubator is to help folks like yourself get your questions answered, that if you're interested in it, that you could actually even submit a proposal for yourself to get funding or work through the incubator, or just try to develop an application that you try to gain users, like normal entrepreneurial activity, that kind of stuff. So we're here for you is the bottom line.
Awesome.
Also, I'm paid by the stream, so take your sweet time.
In that case, I'm going to talk real slow. Next script is register contract. Oh, so we're going to make a contract. Awesome. This is the best part of being a blockchain developer. It's the whole reason that they exist. So, all right, I'm going to paste this into our new script file. Getting that identity, we're making some of those documents, a not document object that, thank goodness I could copy paste the code, don't know what it does. So we're going to create a contract with the configuration above for the identity we give it, and it's going to spit out the contract and we can look at it. Cool. Let's do it. Oh, that was fast.
So it's not done yet.
It's not quite done, actually.
Does it make the contract ID locally, or is this some ping back from the network?
I'm pretty sure we haven't actually dug into that, but I think it's client side. Okay. That part of it, anyway.
Interesting. How does it avoid having a clash with another contract ID if it's client generated?
Yeah, my guess is it's a combination of, like, it's a deterministic process that uses both the data that you're trying to create and your identity. So if you tried to do the exact same thing again, you'd probably get the same thing.
So contract ID is generated from the owner ID and entropy, 32 bytes, content media type.
Maybe the current timestamp or something. I don't know. So this is the contract we just made. Owned by me. Remember my old wallet identity. Cool. I don't know a lot about the contract that we created, but it exists.
Yeah. So have you ever worked with a document database like MongoDB?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the idea is very similar, and it was kind of designed on that basis, that you first, in a document database, you create a schema where the documents that would adhere to that schema. And then the documents themselves are like instances that adhere to that schema. So it's the same kind of concept of a document database.
Yeah, that's document. But I mean, the contract itself, I don't really know what we made, but let's get it, because I just got the retrieve contract. I'm guessing it's going to give us similar data to what we just saw in the dashboard, but let's see. Retrieve contract.
Yeah, the contract is very much like a schema. It says that this contract says that documents that are created against it have to have certain properties.
We got an error here.
So let's see.
It's expecting a buffer, but I don't think it's something we passed into it. We've only passed in contract ID.
Did we update the environment file or?
Oh, contract ID. I don't think I put it in there. That's correct. Let's.
Okay.
Let me get out of here. And I definitely saw it. Oh, it's not in our command history. It was in the output. But here it is.
There it is.
And let's try that again. Error-driven learning.
Yep.
All right. So actually, I think this is what it output before when we created it, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the same URL, but now we're just getting it contract by ID this time.
Is that like a hobby of yours to memorize random strings of characters?
This is the first time we had a capital F identifier, and I saw it right here. So, oh, that was the contract ID. Yeah. Okay. So, cool. We can get it with the SDK, and it has the schema that we defined. And took a look. Okay, update contract. What are we gonna do now? Let's see. Get the existing contract and its schema, and change the author, or add a property called author because I don't think we have one yet. And this is JSON schema, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Tags, okay. So we're then going to update it to add author. Okay, let's try it. Here's the update contract. npm run update contract. No, I'm just going to copy. So are these properties like metadata about the contract, or what are these properties for?
Yeah. So if you looked at the go back to the code, your code editor, update contract. Yeah, this code right here. Basically, it's what are we doing here? Update data contract, set document schema note. What update is it actually making here, Anthony?
It's adding author.
Oh, it's adding.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's adding a new property.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering what these properties are for.
It'd be like if you had a database and you decided in your application, we need another property in this in the schema, and then you'd have to do a database migration to make all of your data adhere to that new property.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what it's doing.
Okay. So it's for dApps.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
And that will probably make sense. It makes more sense after you've done the document creation, because then it's like, okay, now I know I can't create a document that has a required field of author that's not there.
Cool. And now we're actually going to do that, right? Because we're going to go back to our client.js and overwrite everything.
Yep.
So that we give a name to the contract now, it sounds like. Or this is freeform, I'm guessing, on line 14. The name of our app.
This allows you to create kind of like a shorthand syntax for calling the note from the contract in particular.
So it's like a name for our app, essentially, a nickname, and we give it a contract. Am I understanding that right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we don't run anything yet. So submit note document, which is going to be get our identity, create a new note document.
So that's where it says tutorial contract.note. That's what you're able to do because you set that in your client.
Got it. And this is a property we named earlier, right? Inside of our
Yeah.
Mhm.
data schema. So hello from blah, blah, blah. Broadcast. Okay, so this is when it gets broadcast to the network. Create the note. Awesome.
So now we have the contract is already live on the network. Now what we're doing is we're submitting a document that adheres to that contract. And then the network will do the job of validating whether or not our document is in compliance with the contract. So in theory, this would allow you to set up an application where both your front end application, but also anyone else's front end application could submit documents to the same
Interesting.
contract.
Very cool. It sounds like almost there needs to be like an interface management system for these dApps, right? It's like an API almost to make sure.
Exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to run this one. This is going to be. So if you made like an application, you'd be sending these documents as kind of records, I guess, in
Yep.
the database.
Exactly. So that's part of Dash platform consists of a lot of different components. Two of the main components are the Dash drive and then the Dash API, the decentralized API. You might see it somewhere in documentation. You'll see Dash drive and DAPI, DAPI.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what you were talking about. It's like an API because it is an API, and it's a decentralized API that anybody can access as long as they pay the money to submit their documents to store on the decentralized drive, and you do that through the decentralized API.
Cool. And for now, we just have to remember the schema in our head and hope that we don't type it wrong. Where did we just do that operation? Let's see. Here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we created the document. It looks like it's been broadcast. And I wonder, next step is to get the documents. I kind of want to see, you can do that in the Explorer too.
Yep.
Okay. I think I just added this in there actually while we were talking. Get documents. Yeah. And let's run it. I'm guessing it's what we just saw in this appear on the create. Or not. Oh, we actually read the document. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the code here, we're getting that property note.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. And so we just read this document off of a decentralized network is what just happened.
Yep.
Sweet. That's our hello world right there.
That's the hello world right there.
That's right. It is.
And here's where you can say goodbye world.
Time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Update.
Can't take the bear market anymore.
This is about as far in crypto as I'll go. I just logged into Coinbase for the first time in like 2 years, and I realized I have $10 I didn't know I had. I feel like
No, you missed your chance. That would have been $100 a month ago.
Oh, it's all about the timing.
Depending on what you were holding.
We're gonna update this note. So this is kind of like the REST analogy of making like a patch request or a put request in HTTP. And
Exactly.
we're gonna change to a new hello again with a new date string. Let's see if that works. It's pretty fast. Oh, what we missed? Did I mess up something?
Yeah, so this happened with Rishi also. I'm not sure what's causing.
I wonder if I'm
issue.
curious if I get it again, if anything changed. As in that transaction failed. Yeah, because there's no again here, so we didn't quite succeed in updating. Should I try update again?
Sure. I haven't watched through the end of that last one that you did with Rishi. What are we seeing here?
It's just
An error.
So go back. So stay right. Scroll. Actually, sorry. Stay right there. Yeah. So it's query storage protocol value error, structure error. Value are not bytes, a string or an array of values representing bytes.
Max read.
Is there anything I needed to replace in here? Document ID. I don't think I ever put document ID in the end file. Maybe I missed that step. Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
Might have been Rishi's error too.
did I get
Good
or
catch.
document ID? Is it something I already see up here? Here. Okay. This is what happens when you blindly copy paste and don't really think. That's my bad.
That's because we're rushing you through it, I guess, right?
I want to see how far I can get in 9 minutes. Do we have to do any closing, by the way?
No, we'll just stop when we feel like we're ready to stop.
Yeah, you're probably gonna make it to the end. After this, you just gotta set up the server and your front end, which are both just like two big blobs of code.
Cool. We're gonna check right now. By the way, as a reminder, we're updating the document note property to say again instead of just hello. Okay, so it's done. Let's get it. We're getting the last 5 documents in our query, right? So hello again, it worked. Awesome.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so this is really interesting. It's a database, a decentralized database.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, permissionless, open, all those fun.
Yeah,
words.
it literally has a database called GroveDB.
What DB?
GroveDB. It's specific to Dash, so you wouldn't have heard of it.
GroveDB, cool. Is that something?
Grove. Grove.
Grove.
Grove. You're right and put it on the screen for you.
Let's just go to the website real quick. grovedb.org, I think.
I hope I spelled it right. No, I did not. Is it going to correct me if I... How do I spell it?
GROVE. VE, as in very vegetable.
Grove.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then add the DB. And then add dash again. There you go.
10 times charm.
There we go.
So is this something independent of Dash that you could use?
You can use it independent of Dash, yes. It is an independent standalone database.
Yeah, just like how you can use the Redwood router without Redwood, but obviously no one does.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the main high level idea behind GroveDB is that it gives you cryptographic proofs of saying this data is provably there on the chain, validated by a quorum of node operators, or it's provably not there. These kind of things. The website talks more about it, but yeah, that's the whole idea, is that you don't have to trust that the specific node that you're interacting with on the network to do these interactions, you don't have to trust that that specific node is being honest, because if you have the proof of the data that comes back, then you know that the whole network has said, yes, this data exists on our network.
I see.
Otherwise, you could have a rogue, in theory, you could have a rogue node operator that's serving you false data without that.
Oh, right.
These issues don't even come up in the traditional world of web development. These kind of issues don't really even come up as an issue because you're already explicitly trusting a service as a centralized service provider.
Well, you could have a rogue employee inside the company.
Yeah.
Taking you back. Wrong data. Okay, I did something wrong again. Surprise. It says contract ID is not found, which is interesting. Maybe I already deleted it.
So we're running get documents.
Oh, well, it's deleted. Now we're not getting any documents. So maybe I tried running it twice subconsciously because our note is gone.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't paying too much attention there. But now we've said goodbye, world. Then
Yes, we said goodbye, world. There's no more message.
okay.
And the server step. What will we set up the server for?
So this is going to turn, because right now everything you've been doing are just one-off scripts that you're running. So we want to be able to have a persistent server with an endpoint that you could then query to like get back information.
I see.
So what this is going to do is this is going to make an endpoint that's going to resolve to the identity information with when given the name as the endpoint, essentially, or as the, so it would be like /name/Clarefro is what it would be.
And is there documentation for like this? It's like a dynamic API kind of.
This is just for the sake of the tutorial, just to like learn how to do this. This is not really documented anywhere because this is not even something that's like in the Dash docs. It's just something I did when I was building this.
That's just an Express feature, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I meant, I know that you're defining the route using Express, but what the server that we're actually launching is going to have some schema, right? Or is it just like, how would I call this API? I mean,
it's just once you run it, it's just going to be like localhost /name.
No, I get it now.
Yeah.
We define the routes ourselves, but this is like a convention, or we can do whatever we want.
No, this is just a way to show if you wanted to start using this library in like a full stack way.
Yeah.
How would you actually integrate it into a front end, back end type situation instead of just literally just running one-off node scripts? Oops. So there's no real conventions.
Got it. Because this is just a suggestion. Okay. So now we're getting that information. Instead of calling scripts, we're calling our API at name/Clarefro. And we're returning the platform name.
Yeah, so the idea being that you could now create all the endpoints you wanted that would correspond to all the functionality that we've done throughout the course of this tutorial. You know, the ideal world would be someone like me just actually does that, and then, you know, someone would have the whole server. But this is kind of where we got to in when we first did this tutorial.
To open source developers to build it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I guess the practical use case would be like if you made an application that would need to like show all of the documents for a given user or something, you could make an endpoint for that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you got
That's cool.
Yeah, and you don't need to do a full stack application for this. You saw that the SDK that we were using, you can use that SDK on a server running something like Express, but you could also just use it with a single page application.
Right, which is what this next step was, right? Like
kind of. What this is doing is this is going to just give you a front end that's going to call your Express app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess we're out of time, right? So I'll skip this step, but I assume it makes it just a UI for interacting with.
Yeah. We can call it there, and then we can either pick it up in another series or another part B of this series, and then keep going and maybe even add some flair to it.
We can have you also do the Dashmate stuff next time. So I'm almost done with my Dashmate tutorial, so it'd be good to have QA. That's a way to. So it basically just runs instead of using testnet, it runs your own version of it locally with Docker.
Okay. Cool. That's unlimited Dash.
You can even make your own.
That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you both for walking me through this. Is there This is really fascinating for me because I've been out of the Web3 space, so much so that I think I saw Anthony, you did a video with Rizal, Rizal, and you were joking about Web5 or something, and I thought it was a real thing. I was like, that's totally plausible.
It is a real thing. It's Web 2 plus Web 3.
But I thought it had already like gone through 2 evolutions since the last time I touched it. But that's cool that you're making Bitcoin fork development.
Yeah. There's a lot more that we could say about it in terms of like how it compares to smart contracts and things like that. But maybe we'll go into some of those ideas next time. We've kept you pretty long already on this one, but thanks for joining us. I just had one question. Anthony mentioned that you do some streams yourself. What do you do with that?
Oh, I just fool around. I like to do little side projects. Right now I'm building Stack Overflow Simulator, which uses AI to simulate Stack Overflow answer threads as if you were using the old school Stack Overflow, but it's ironic. Yeah. So it's just a fun art.
And it includes all the snark in the answers, right?
Yeah, like read the manual.
Yeah.
It's been answered. So, but it actually works. It's kind of cool. You get like 6 different answers to your question, and you can use it as I'm going to use it as a museum on the internet for people that start learning to develop after AI has already taken over.
Yeah, Claire's a lot like me. She was always interested in jumping into all sorts of new tech stuff. You also created your CBT, Chat CBT, which is a bot that uses cognitive behavioral therapy techniques.
Yep. So I'm playing a lot with AI lately.
Cool. That's very interesting. We'll have to have you try out our dashpay.io site at some point as well and see.
Yeah.
Because that does a little bit of AI. We looked into it this morning, Anthony and I. But yeah. You've got your Twitter, your X profile here.
Yeah, I'm just sharing. If you want to follow Claire Fro with an E.
Definitely will do. And do you speak Japanese?
Yes, I used to be an interpreter, and I lived in Japan, and I keep some of my browser stuff in Japanese so I don't forget it.
That's awesome.
That's really smart.
Wow.
Take too much energy to learn it. You don't want to forget it. All right.
On Dash just says as a parting thing, thanks for your work, folks. I wish I'd learned some of this stuff, but above my pay grade. Maybe not. We're hoping for this to be accessible to any developer, any traditional Web 2 developers. So
I can learn it. I'm a music major, so you can do it too.
And I was a liberal arts major, so it's everyone's invitation.
All right, thanks, Claire, and we'll see everybody next time. I'm not sure when the next stream is, but stay tuned, subscribe, and you'll figure it out. You'll find out.
We have a stream tomorrow with Niles, so catch us then.
Sounds good.
All right, bye, everyone.
See you.